I wake up in a hospital bed with 3 broken ribs and a punctured lung, and the first thing the nurse tells me is that my sister signed a financial waiver and left. She was here for 20 minutes. 20 minutes, while I was in surgery, while a machine was breathing for me. My sister Margot walked in, signed a piece of paper that said she wouldn't pay for any of it, and walked out. 5 days later, she comes back. Strolls up to the nurse's station and asks if I've been discharged yet. The nurse, a woman named Colleen who'd been checking on me every 2 hours for 5 straight days, looks my sister dead in the eye and says one sentence. And I watch the color drain from Margot's face through the window of my room. My name is Acacia. I'm 29, and this is the story of how my own sister tried to kill me for $2 million, and how I made sure she lost everything. If you're watching this, please subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. But first, let me take you back to the night of the accident. It's a Tuesday night in March. I've just finished a 12-hour shift at the Millbrook Community Clinic. Flu season, short-staffed, the usual. And I'm driving home on Route 7. This stretch of road is practically muscle memory. I've driven it 1,000 times. Winding 2-lane blacktop through the Connecticut hills, guardrails on the curves, nothing unusual. I come up on the first sharp bend past the old covered bridge. I press the brake. Nothing. I press harder. The pedal sinks to the floor like stepping into mud. No resistance, no response. My hands lock on the wheel. The curve is coming fast. I pump the brake, once, twice, 3 times. And there's this sick, hollow feeling, like the car has forgotten what stopping means. Headlights sweep across the guardrail. I yank the wheel to the right, aiming for the shoulder, but at 45 miles an hour on a downhill curve there's no shoulder. There's gravel, then metal. The car hits the guardrail and the world turns into noise. Glass shattering, steel screaming. Something inside my chest snaps. I feel it before I hear it. 3 distinct cracks, like someone breaking dry branches. Then quiet. I'm hanging sideways in my seatbelt, blood in my mouth. I can hear a siren somewhere far away, or maybe it's the ringing in my ears. A paramedic's face appears in the broken window. His lips are moving, but I only catch pieces. Punctured lung, at least 3 fractured ribs, stay with us. And just before I go under for the second time, I hear someone, another paramedic, maybe a bystander, say, "Someone already called her sister." I hold on to that. In the darkness behind my eyelids, I think, Margot is coming. I'll be okay. That was the last time I trusted her. I come out of surgery 31 hours later. The room is white. The ceiling tiles have those tiny holes in them, hundreds of little dots, and I count them because there's nothing else to look at. No flowers, no cards, no jacket draped over the visitor's chair. A nurse pushes through the door, mid-40s, dark hair pinned back, reading glasses on a chain around her neck. She checks my IV, my oxygen levels, the drain tube in my side. Her name tag says Colleen Brady, RN. "How long have I been out?" I ask. My voice sounds like gravel. "About a day and a half. Surgery went well. You're going to be sore for a while." I look at the empty chair. "Has anyone been here?" Colleen pauses. "Not long, just a beat. But I've been a nurse for 6 years. I know what that pause means." "Your sister came in the first night," she says. "She was here about 20 minutes. 20 minutes. She signed the financial release form. Then she left." I don't know what my face does, but Colleen's expression softens. She pulls the blanket up over my shoulder. A small thing, a nothing thing, but it's the first gentle touch I've felt in 2 days. That night, I call my father. He picks up on the 4th ring. His voice has that loose, fuzzy quality I've known my whole life, the sound of Gerald Sinclair after his 3rd bourbon. "Hey, sweetheart, Margot said she's handling everything. Don't worry about it." "Dad, I'm in the hospital. I had surgery." Right. Margot told us. She said you're doing fine." I hang up, stare at the phone in my hand. Colleen comes back in to adjust my pain meds. She looks at me and says quietly, "That financial release form? It means she made sure the hospital knows she's not paying for any of this." I don't answer. I just close my eyes and count ceiling tiles again. I need to tell you about Margot and me. Growing up, Margot Sinclair was the sun, and I orbited her. Our father drank. Our mother cried. The house was a place you survived, not a place you lived, and Margot, 5 years older, sharp as a blade, was the one who made it bearable. She'd pull me into her room during the worst nights, put headphones on me and whisper, "Just listen to the music. I'll handle it." She drove me to my college scholarship interview when I was 17. Stayed in the car for 3 hours, engine running so the heat wouldn't die. When I got in afterward, hands shaking, she said, "You're going to get it. And you're going to leave this town, and I'm going to be so proud of you." I believed every word. But Margot had a habit I didn't notice until much later. Every favor came with a receipt. Every kindness had a ledger entry. "I sacrificed so much for you." She'd say it casually, the way you'd mention the weather. And I'd feel this pull in my chest, this quiet guilt, like I owed her something I could never fully repay. 5 years ago, Margot married Brett Whitfield, a real estate developer with a big smile and bigger promises. She moved into a colonial in the nicest part of Millbrook, joined the charity board, started going by Mrs. Whitfield at parties. She introduced me to her friends as "my little sister, she's a nurse." Said it with this tilt of her head, like it was sweet, like it was small. Our grandmother, Frances Sinclair, saw through it long before I did. The last time I visited her before she passed, she held my hand and said, "Your sister loves the idea of family, Acacia. You love the actual people." I didn't understand what she meant. I do now. Day 3 in the hospital. I'm propped up on pillows, trying to eat applesauce with my left hand because my right side is a constellation of bruises, when Danny Oakes walks in. Danny and I went to college together. He's a mechanic now, runs a shop on the edge of town. The kind of guy who talks to engines like they're patients. We're not close the way we used to be, but he's the type who shows up. He heard about the accident from a mutual friend and drove straight here. He sits in the visitor's chair, the one nobody else has used, and puts a paper bag of donuts on the side table. Then he leans forward, elbows on his knees, and something in his face changes. "Acacia, I need to tell you something." "Okay." "Your car got towed to Henley's lot. I went over there this morning because I heard about the wreck, and I wanted to see how bad it was. Insurance will need a report anyway." He stops, rubs his hands together. "The brake line didn't wear out. It was cut, clean cut. Someone used a blade or a snip tool. There's no way that happened by itself." The room tilts, just slightly, like the floor shifted an inch to the left. "That's not possible," I say. "I took pictures. I'll send them to your insurance adjuster, but I wanted you to hear it from me first." I stare at the ceiling tiles. Danny waits. "Who had access to your car that night?" he asks. "Before the accident?" And there it is. The question I don't want to answer. Because the night before the accident, I parked at my parents' house for dinner. The car sat in the open driveway for 3 hours, and Margot was there too. Danny looks at me like he's afraid of what he's about to say, and I realize he's not afraid for my car. He's afraid for me. Day 4. My phone rings at 9:14 a.m. Margot's name on the screen. I stare at it for 3 rings before I pick up. "Acacia! Oh my God, I've been meaning to call. Things have been insane with the gala planning and Brett's been traveling. How are you feeling?" Her voice is warm, musical, the voice of a woman who hosts dinner parties and never burns anything. "I have 3 broken ribs and a punctured lung, Margot." I know, Mom told me the surgery went well, that's great, listen, have they said when you'll be discharged? I need to know for planning." I wait a beat. "Planning what?" "The charity gala. It's coming up and I want to make sure we show family unity. Everyone's asking about you." She hasn't asked me what the surgery was like. She hasn't asked about my pain level, my breathing, whether I can walk to the bathroom. She's asking about a timeline so she can manage the story. "I don't know when I'll be out." "Well, keep me posted. Oh, and don't worry about the bills. I talked to the hospital about the financial situation. It's all sorted." Sorted. She signed a form refusing responsibility, and she's calling it sorted. "Thanks, Margot." "Of course. That's what big sisters are for." "Love you." She hangs up. I sit there holding the phone, and for the first time since the accident, something shifts inside me. Not the broken ribs, something deeper, something underneath. Danny's voice in my head. The brake line didn't wear out. It was cut. Margot's voice. Have they said when you'll be discharged? I need to know for planning. Planning. She needs to know for planning. Maybe Danny is right. Maybe I should be afraid. That afternoon, a woman I've never met walks into my hospital room carrying a leather briefcase and the kind of quiet authority that makes the air in the room rearrange itself. Acacia Sinclair, I'm Helen Ashford. I manage the trust your grandmother established. She's in her early 50s, silver-streaked hair cut sharp at the jaw. She doesn't sit until I tell her to. I came because I received a call 2 days ago, from your sister. She wanted to know about the incapacity provisions in your grandmother's trust. Incapacity provisions? If a beneficiary is declared legally incapacitated, the other beneficiary can petition for temporary management of their share. Helen opens her briefcase, pulls out a folder. Most families, when someone is in the hospital, they ask about medical care. Your sister asked about the money. The room is very quiet. The heart monitor beeps. How much are we talking about? I ask, even though I already half know. The trust is valued at approximately $2.3 million. It was split equally between you and your sister. The first distribution, 50%, went out last year. The second distribution, your share, roughly $1.15 million, is scheduled for your 30th birthday. That's 11 months from now. I look at her. And if I'm declared incapacitated before then? Margot could petition for temporary control of your portion. Temporary in trust law can mean years. Helen closes the folder, looks at me straight. I've managed your grandmother's trust for 9 years, Acacia. In 9 years, your sister never once asked about your share. Not a single question. Until you ended up in this hospital. I feel my jaw tighten, not from the pain meds wearing off, from something else entirely. What do? I ask. Helen sets the folder on my lap. You let me help you. That evening I call my mother. I tell her everything Helen told me. The phone call from Margot, the incapacity provisions, the timing. I keep my voice steady. I don't accuse anyone of anything. I just lay out the facts and say, Mom, please just come to the hospital. I need to talk to you in person. Silence on the line. Then Pauline Sinclair does what Pauline Sinclair has done my entire life. She defers to the loudest voice in the room. Margot says Helen is trying to create problems. She says the trust situation is complicated and Helen is overreacting. Mom, have you even seen me since the accident? More silence. Longer this time. Then my father takes the phone. His voice is loose. It's 6 p.m., and he's already 3 drinks in. Your sister has been handling things. Stop making this harder than it needs to be. I close my eyes. Dad, someone cut my brake line. Come on, Acacia. That's dramatic. You were tired. You said yourself you'd just pulled a double shift. I didn't say that. I haven't talked to you since the accident. Margot told you I said that. He doesn't respond. I hear ice clinking in a glass. Good night, Dad. I hang up, put the phone face down on the mattress. Colleen comes in a few minutes later. She doesn't say anything at first, just checks my vitals, adjusts the oxygen. Then she looks at me, really looks at me and says, For what it's worth, I've seen a lot of families come through this ward. The ones who don't show up, there's always a reason, and it's never a good one. She dims the lights and closes the door softly behind her. I lie in the dark and listen to the heart monitor count the seconds. Night 4. The hospital goes quiet after midnight. Just the hum of machines and the occasional squeak of shoes on linoleum. I lie on my back and stare at the dark ceiling and run through it in my head. The brake line was cut. Margot was at the house that night. 2 days after my accident, she called Helen about my trust. She hasn't visited. She hasn't asked how I'm breathing. And my parents chose her version of the story without reading a single page of mine. I think about Grandma Frances. The last Thanksgiving before she died, she pulled me aside in the kitchen and said, Your sister loves the idea of family, Acacia. You love the actual people. Don't let anyone confuse those two things. I didn't understand then. I do now. At 7 the next morning, I call Helen. I want to protect my trust, I say. And I want to know exactly what my sister has been doing. Then we start documenting everything, quietly. I'm not doing this because I want revenge. I'm doing this because someone tried to kill me, and no one in my family seems to care enough to ask why. Helen pauses. Then she says something that turns my blood cold. Acacia, there's something else. Your sister contacted a psychiatrist this week, Dr. Leland Porter. She asked him about the process for having someone evaluated for legal incapacity. I grip the phone. She's not waiting for you to recover, Helen says. She's building a case to have you declared incapacitated. If she succeeds, she controls your share of the trust before you ever see a cent. The ceiling tiles stare back at me. 216 of them. I've had plenty of time to count. Then we'd better move faster than she does, I say. I need to tell you about my sister's life, the real one, not the Instagram version. Margot married Brett Whitfield because he was handsome and ambitious, and told her she'd never have to worry about money. For the first 3 years, that was true. Brett flipped properties, closed deals, drove a black Range Rover. They bought the Colonial on Maple Ridge. 4 bedrooms, wraparound porch, the kind of house that says we've made it before you even get to the front door. Then Brett bet everything on a residential development called Ridgeline Estates, 22 luxury homes on a hillside lot outside Millbrook. He borrowed $1.8 million. The project stalled, permits got tangled, his investors pulled out. The bank sent letters, then more letters. Margot found out when their credit card declined at a restaurant in front of 3 of her charity board friends. That night, I learned this later through Helen's investigator, Brett sat across from Margot at their kitchen island and said 6 words. Fix this, or I'm done. Fix this. Like she was a contractor and the marriage was a leaky faucet, and Margot looked around her life, the house with the wraparound porch, the charity gala with her name on the program, the friends who called her Mrs. Whitfield, and she understood. Without money, Brett leaves. Without Brett, the house goes. Without the house, the friends go. Without the friends, she's just Margot Sinclair from a drunk father's house on the wrong side of Millbrook. My share of Grandma Frances's trust, $1.15 million, 11 months from distribution, was the only number that could save her. My sister didn't try to kill me because she hates me. She tried to kill me because her husband told her to fix their money problem, and I was the easiest fix. Day 7. They discharged me with a binder full of instructions. No lifting, no driving, physical therapy 3 times a week, follow up with the pulmonologist in 10 days. My lungs still whistle when I breathe too deep. I don't go home. My apartment in town, Margot has a spare key. She's had one since I moved in 3 years ago. For emergencies, she said. I never thought to ask whose emergencies. I don't go to my parents' house either. Colleen arranges it. Her mother, June Brady, lives alone in a little Cape Cod off County Road 9, about 15 minutes outside Millbrook. 2 bedrooms, a vegetable garden out back, a cat named Biscuit who sleeps on the radiator. June is 72 and sharp as a tack and doesn't ask questions she doesn't need answered. Stay as long as you need, Colleen tells me, handing me a bag of clean clothes she picked up from a thrift store. June likes company, and no one in your family knows where she lives. For the first time in my life, I don't tell my family where I am. I don't text Margot. I don't update my father. I don't call my mother. I sit in June's guest room, ribs aching, breathing in shallow sips, and I feel something I haven't felt in years. Quiet. Not the quiet of being ignored. The quiet of being safe. Helen sends me a secure email that evening. Subject line: Gala, Millbrook Country Club, May 17th. The body is a single paragraph. Your family's annual charity fundraiser is 4 weeks away. Margot is chairing it. She can't miss it. It's her stage. That's where she's most visible and most vulnerable. Start thinking about that. I read it twice, closed the laptop, and for the first time since the accident, I sleep without dreaming. My cousin Tessa calls me 3 days after I leave the hospital. Tessa is 26, my Aunt Ruth's daughter, the only person in the extended family who texts me back within the hour instead of the week. She's been my quiet lifeline since the accident, and right now her voice is doing that thing where it gets very precise, like she's trying not to scream. Margot hosted a family dinner last night, she says. At your parents' house. Okay. She cried, Acacia. Real tears. Sat at the head of the table and told everyone you're refusing to come home, that you're pushing the whole family away, that you're going through something, and she's tried so hard to help but you won't let her. I close my eyes. June's cat, Biscuit, jumps onto the bed and curls against my hip. What did everyone say? I ask. Your dad nodded along. Your mom held Margot's hand. Aunt Ruth said she'd pray for you. Everyone hugged Margot. And you? I sat in the corner and ate my chicken. I almost believed her too, Acacia. She cried real tears, and everyone hugged her. I take a breath. The ribs protest. There's something else, Tessa says, and her voice drops lower. Margot called the clinic where you work. She asked about their mental health leave policy. Specifically, she asked what documentation is needed to put someone on involuntary medical leave. The room goes very still. She's not just telling people you're unstable, Tessa says. She's building a paper trail. I look at the ceiling of June's guest room. This ceiling doesn't have hospital tiles. It has old plaster and a small crack shaped like a river. Tessa, thank you for telling me. What are you going to do? I'm going to let her keep talking. The more she says, the deeper she digs. 2 days later, Helen drives out to June's house with a manila folder and a man I haven't met. Acacia, this is Ray Kendall, former state police, now private investigator. I've retained him. Ray is in his 50s, built like a mailbox. Short, solid, no wasted space. He shakes my hand gently, aware of the ribs, and sits across from me at June's kitchen table. Let me walk you through what we have, he says, spreading photographs across the table. These are from Danny's inspection and the insurance adjuster's follow-up. The brake line on your vehicle was severed with a cutting tool. Not corroded, not frayed, cut. He taps a second photo. This is a receipt from the Home Depot in Danbury, a set of automotive brake line cutters, purchased 3 days before your accident, paid for with a Visa, ending in 4471. Whose card? I ask, though the ice in my stomach already knows. Registered to Margot Sinclair Whitfield. I stare at the receipt. $34.99. That's what my life was worth to my sister. $34.99. Ray continues. I also pulled security footage from your parents' neighbor. The Porters have a ring camera covering their driveway, which partially captures the Sinclair front yard. At 11:47 p.m. the night before your accident, a figure walks from the house toward the driveway where your car was parked. The image isn't clear enough for facial ID, but the build and clothing are consistent with your sister. Helen opens a second folder, and there's a phone record. Brett Whitfield called Margot at 11:30 p.m. that night. The call lasted 11 minutes, 17 minutes before that figure appeared on the camera. An 11-minute phone call. Then someone walked to my car with a $35 tool and took my brakes apart. I push back from the table. My hands are steady. My voice is steady. Everything inside me is screaming. What's the next step? I ask. I'm going to pause here for a second. I'm sitting in a stranger's kitchen with broken ribs, looking at a photograph of my sister's credit card receipt for the tool that was used on my brake line. $34.99. If you're still watching, this story gets harder before it gets better. Hit subscribe if you want to see how it ends. And drop a comment. What would you do if you found out your own sibling did this to you? Things move fast after that. Helen calls me the next morning, and her voice has an edge I haven't heard before, the controlled urgency of someone who's been in courtrooms long enough to know when the clock is running out. Margot contacted the bank that manages the trust yesterday. She filed an emergency access request claiming you're incapacitated and unable to manage your financial affairs. Can she do that? She can request it. The bank requires a medical certification of incapacity to proceed. She doesn't have one, yet. But she's already contacted a psychiatrist and she's pushing. What did you do? I called the bank, identified myself as the trustee, confirmed that you are fully competent and that any disbursement made without your consent will result in litigation against the institution. Did they back off? For now, but your sister is resourceful. She'll find another angle. Helen is right. That afternoon, my phone rings. Margot. I let it go to voicemail. The message is 40 seconds of sugar. Hey, little sis. I heard you got a lawyer involved. That makes me so sad. I thought we could handle this as a family. Is that really what Grandma would have wanted? She invoked Grandma, the woman whose money she's trying to steal, and she said it with a voice so sincere you'd think she was reading scripture. I play the voicemail for Helen over the phone. She's testing you, Helen says. She wants to see if guilt still works. It doesn't. Good. Because she'll try harder. People like your sister always do. I delete the voicemail. Then I change my phone's lock screen from a photo of Margot and me at Christmas to a blank blue screen. It's a small thing, but small things are how you start dismantling a life that was built on someone else's lies. Ray Kendall is thorough. That's the polite word. The real word is relentless. Within a week, he's mapped Brett Whitfield's financial collapse in detail. The Ridgeline Estates development, 22 luxury homes on a hillside lot, never broke ground. Permits stalled. Environmental review flagged drainage issues. Investors pulled out one by one. Brett owes $1.8 million to 3 different lenders, and the interest alone is eating him alive. But here's the part that made me set down my coffee and stare at the wall. Ray found out Brett has been meeting with a divorce attorney. Name of Philip Voss, office in Hartford. 3 consultations in the last 2 months. He's preparing to leave her, Ray tells me. But he's also still helping her. He called 2 friends in commercial real estate last week asking for appraisals on trust-held assets. He's hedging. If Margot gets your money, he stays long enough to claim half in the divorce. If she doesn't, he walks. I let that settle. My sister cut my brake line, or had it cut, to keep a husband who's already 1 foot out the door. And that husband is helping her steal from me while simultaneously planning to steal from her. Does Margot know about the divorce lawyer? I ask. I don't think so. Then she's doing all of this. The trust, the psychiatrist, the performance at the family dinner, to save a marriage that's already dead. Ray nods. Your brother-in-law is playing both sides. He's helping her steal your money and planning to leave her the second he gets his cut. I look out June's kitchen window. There's a cardinal on the feeder. It tilts its head like it's listening. My sister is desperate. Her husband is a coward. And I'm the only one who sees the whole board. I go to my parents' house on a Sunday. I know it's a risk. Helen told me not to, but I need to look my mother in the eye one more time before I stop trying. Gerald opens the door. He smells like bourbon and dial soap. His face does something complicated when he sees me. Surprise, guilt, irritation, all shuffled together like a bad deck of cards. Acacia, we didn't know you were coming. I know. I sit at the kitchen table. Pauline is there, peeling potatoes. She doesn't get up. Her hands keep moving. Peel, peel, peel. Like stopping would mean facing something she's not ready for. I place 2 documents on the table. The insurance adjuster's report on the brake line, the Home Depot receipt. I'm not asking you to choose a side, I say. I'm asking you to look at the evidence. Gerald glances at the papers, doesn't pick them up. This is crazy talk. Your sister would never... Read it, Dad. Just read it. He pushes the papers toward the center of the table, away from himself, like they're contaminated. Pauline stops peeling. She looks at the papers. Her eyes move across the top line of the report. Then she sets down the peeler and says, Margot told me you might do this. She said you'd try to turn us against her. I stand up. The chair scrapes the floor. I'm not trying to turn you against her. I'm trying to stay alive. And you can't even read 2 pages. I walk to the door. Neither of them follows me. In the car, I sit for 3 minutes with the engine off. My hands are on the steering wheel, the same position they were in when the brakes failed, and for the first and only time in this entire story, I cry. Then I drive back to June's house and don't look in the rearview mirror. 3 weeks pass. I heal. Not all at once. Healing isn't a switch, it's a slow fade. The ribs go from screaming to aching to a dull reminder every time I reach for something on a high shelf. Physical therapy twice a week. I do the exercises in June's living room while Biscuit watches from the radiator like a furry supervisor. Meanwhile, Helen builds the case. She's methodical. Every document goes into a binder with tabs. Insurance report, Danny's photographs, the Home Depot receipt, the neighbor's Ring camera footage, the phone record showing Brett's 11-minute call at 11:30 p.m., Margot's inquiries to the bank and the psychiatrist, Colleen's written statement about Margot's 20-minute hospital visit. Ray adds one more piece. Brett purchased a pair of nitrile gloves at the same Home Depot, same receipt, same trip. $34.99 for the cutters, $7.49 for the gloves, $42.48, the full cost of trying to erase me. Helen files two things simultaneously. First, a formal complaint with the Millbrook Police Department, requesting a criminal investigation into the tampering of my vehicle's brake system. Second, a civil petition to remove Margot as a beneficiary of the Francis Sinclair Trust under the in terrorem clause, a provision that strips inheritance from any beneficiary who attempts to harm another. The criminal investigation will take time, Helen tells me over the phone. But the civil petition moves faster, and the gala is in 10 days. You think the gala matters? I think your sister has spent her entire life performing for an audience, and I think the best way to stop a performance is to change the script while she's still on stage. I close the binder, run my fingers over the tabs. 10 days. Tessa keeps me updated like a field correspondent. Margot posted on Instagram today, she says, her voice flat. Photo of her in the country club kitchen supervising flower arrangements. Caption, "Family is everything. Grateful for another year of giving back." How many likes? 212. Your mom commented a heart emoji. I almost laugh. Almost. Tessa tells me about the brunch. Margot hosted a pre-gala lunch for her charity board friends at that Italian place on Main Street. White tablecloths, sparkling water, the whole production. She told her friends I was recovering but being difficult. Said it with the sad smile of a woman who has tried everything. She actually said, "You know how it is with younger siblings," Tessa reports. Like you're a moody teenager and not a grown woman who was in a car wreck. Did anyone push back? No, they ordered tiramisu. One more thing. Margot added my name to the gala guest list, sent the invitation through our mother, a cream envelope with gold embossing. Pauline left it in my apartment mailbox. She wants you there, Tessa says, not because she cares, because she needs the visual. Look, my sister came. We're fine. Nothing to see here. I hold the envelope, turn it over. My name in Margot's handwriting. Careful, pretty cursive, the kind you practice. I'll be there, I tell Tessa. Are you sure? I'm sure. What are you going to do? I'm going to let my sister have her stage, and then I'm going to hand her something she can't perform her way out of. Tessa is quiet for a moment. Then, I'll save you a seat. She hangs up. I look at the invitation one more time, then set it on the nightstand next to the binder. 10 days becomes 3. Helen and I meet at a diner 2 towns over. Neutral ground. She orders black coffee and a blueberry muffin she doesn't touch. Here's the plan, she says, sliding a single sheet of paper across the table. You attend the gala as a guest. I'll be there. I'm invited every year as a community figure. Ray will be parked outside in case anything escalates. And the police? They interviewed Margot yesterday afternoon. Standard preliminary questions about the night of the accident. They didn't reveal what they have, but she knows there's an investigation now. How did she react? According to Ray's source at the department, she was calm, cooperative, charming. Helen pauses. She's good, Acacia. She's very good, but nobody stays good when the walls close in. I look at the paper. It's a 1-page summary of the entire case. The brake line, the receipt, the camera footage, the phone records, the trust inquiries, the psychiatrist consultation, everything condensed into a single sheet. I'm going to put this in an envelope, I say, and I'm going to give it to Margot, privately. I'm not going to make a speech. I'm not going to grab a microphone. I'm going to hand it to her and let her read it. And then? And then I'm going to watch what she does, because my sister's greatest talent is performing. And her greatest weakness is that she can't perform when she knows the audience has seen the script. Helen nods slowly. What if she stays calm? She won't. Not when she sees this. Not when she realizes I've known everything for weeks and I didn't flinch. I fold the paper, slide it into a white envelope, seal it. I don't need a microphone, I say. I just need my sister to see the truth and watch what she does with it. Now I need to tell you about something that happened 2 days before the gala. I wasn't there for this part, but Colleen told me every detail afterward, and I believe her down to the last syllable. Margot walks into Millbrook General at 2:15 p.m. on a Wednesday. Hair blown out, sunglasses pushed up on her head. She approaches the nurse's station on the 3rd floor and smiles at the woman behind the desk. Hi there. I'm looking for my sister, Acacia Sinclair. She was admitted after a car accident. Has she still not been discharged yet? The woman behind the desk happens to be Colleen Brady, the same Colleen who checked on me every 2 hours for 5 days. The same Colleen who watched Margot sign a financial waiver and leave after 20 minutes. The same Colleen who held a blanket over my shoulder when no one else was there. Colleen looks up from her chart, takes off her reading glasses, folds her hands on the desk, and says, "She was discharged 4 days ago. But you'd know that if you'd visited more than once." Margot's face doesn't move for a full 3 seconds. Then something behind her eyes shifts. Not guilt, not shame. Fear. Because if Acacia left the hospital 4 days ago without telling anyone in her family where she went, that means Acacia is no longer the helpless little sister lying in a bed waiting to be managed. "Where is she?" Margot asks. Her voice is tight now. "Where did she go?" "I'm a nurse, Mrs. Whitfield, not a tracking device." Margot turns and walks out. Fast. Heels clicking on the linoleum. She's already dialing her phone before she hits the elevator. Colleen told me later, "That was the first time I'd ever seen your sister look scared, and honestly, it was satisfying." I believe her. That look on my sister's face when the nurse said that, I wasn't there to see it, but Colleen described every second. And honestly, it was the first moment in this whole nightmare where I felt like maybe I wasn't the crazy one, maybe I wasn't unstable. If this story is hitting close to home for you, drop a comment and tell me. Subscribe, because what happens at the gala? That's the part I've been waiting to tell you. Margot unravels in 48 hours. Tessa gets the first call. Margot's voice pitched high, talking fast. "Have you talked to Acacia? Do you know where she is? She left the hospital and nobody knows where she went." Tessa, bless her, lies cleanly. "I haven't heard from her. Maybe she needed space." "Space? She doesn't need space. She needs to come home." Next, Margot calls the clinic. The receptionist tells her Acacia is on extended medical leave. No further information available. Then she calls our mother. Pauline doesn't know anything, because there's nothing to know. I haven't told anyone. Tessa calls me that evening. She's spiraling. She told Brett, and this is a direct quote. "She knows. She has to know. Why else would she disappear?" What did Brett say? He said, "Then we need to move faster on the trust." Of course he did. Margot makes one more attempt. She calls Dr. Porter, the psychiatrist she'd been courting to evaluate me, and pushes for an emergency competency assessment. But Porter tells her the patient must be present and consenting for any evaluation. He can't declare someone incapacitated based on a family member's phone call. What Margot doesn't know is that Helen has already sent Dr. Porter a formal letter. The letter states that Acacia Sinclair is fully competent, represented by counsel, and that any evaluation initiated without her consent will be met with a malpractice complaint. Dr. Porter declined Margot's request. Firmly. So now my sister has no access to the trust, no psychiatric evaluation, no idea where I am, and a police investigation breathing down her neck. She has exactly one card left to play. The gala. 200 people. A microphone. Her name on the program. The last stage she'll ever own. The night before the gala, I sit in June's guest room with the white envelope on the nightstand and the binder on the bed and Biscuit purring on my feet. I think about Grandma Frances, not the trust, not the money. I think about her hands, papery and warm, always holding mine a little too long, like she was memorizing the feel of it. The last time I saw her, she was in the hospice bed, and she pulled me close and said, "Promise me you'll never let anyone, especially someone who shares your blood, make you feel like you deserve less than what's yours." I promised. She squeezed my hand, and 2 days later, she was gone. I pick out my clothes for tomorrow. A simple navy dress, flats, small earrings. I'm not going to the gala to impress anyone. I'm going as myself. Which is the one thing Margot never planned for. Tessa calls at 9. Margot's been on the phone all day. Something's off with her, she's jumpy. The police interviewed her yesterday. That explains it. She yelled at the florist Acacia, over Centerpiece Heights. I almost feel something for her. Almost. Then I remember the break line, 34.99. "I'll see you tomorrow," I tell Tessa. "I saved you a seat, right side, near the exit, just in case." "Just in case," Helen calls at 10. The police interview rattled her. She knows they're looking. She'll be walking into that ballroom tomorrow carrying more weight than anyone in the room can see. Good. Are you ready? I look at the envelope, the binder, the crack in the plaster ceiling shaped like a river. I don't feel angry anymore, I say. I feel ready. Then get some sleep. Tomorrow's going to be a long night. It's the first time in weeks I fall asleep before midnight. The Millbrook Country Club looks like a magazine spread. White tablecloths, crystal glassware, hydrangeas spilling out of silver urns. A string quartet plays something soft in the corner. 200 guests, local politicians, business owners, charity board members, the women Margot brunches with, circulate the ballroom in cocktail dresses and sport coats, holding wine glasses like props. Margot stands near the entrance in a crimson gown, greeting people with the precision of a woman who has rehearsed this night 100 times. She's radiant. She's warm. She's everything you'd want in a host. I walk through the front door at 6:45 p.m. The room doesn't go silent. That only happens in movies. But there's a ripple, a pause, a few heads turn. Someone whispers something. I'm the sister who was in the car accident. The sister who disappeared. Margot sees me. And for 1/2 second, a fraction of a moment that nobody else catches, her face does something honest. Her smile falters. Her eyes widen. She looks like a woman who just heard a noise in an empty house. Then the mask snaps back on. She crosses the room with her arms open. Oh my God, Acacia, you came! Her voice carries. She makes sure of it. Everyone, my sister is here. This is what family is about. She hugs me. I hug her back. She smells like Chanel and hairspray. I lean close to her ear. We need to talk, privately, after your speech. I feel her body go rigid, just for a second. Then she pulls back, smiling, and says brightly, Of course, of course. Let me get you a drink. Gerald and Pauline are at the VIP table. My father lifts his glass. My mother gives me a look that's equal parts relief and worry. Helen sits 3 tables away, watching, waiting. The string quartet plays on. At 7:30, Margot takes the stage. She stands behind a slim podium with the charity's logo projected on the screen behind her. The room quiets. She adjusts the microphone, smiles. Thank you all for being here tonight, she begins. This gala means so much to our family. Every year we come together to give back to this community, and this year is especially meaningful. Her voice is steady, practiced. She talks about the scholarship fund, the food bank donations, the community garden project. The audience nods along. Then she pivots. This has been a difficult year for the Sinclairs. Some of you know that my baby sister, Acacia, was in a terrible car accident a few weeks ago. A murmur of sympathy. But our family came together. We supported each other. That's what Sinclairs do. She pauses for effect, eyes glistening. I was at the hospital every day, sitting by her side, praying for her recovery. Every day. She was there for 20 minutes, once. I sit at my table, my face is still. Tessa's hand finds mine under the tablecloth and squeezes. And tonight, Margot continues, voice breaking beautifully, my sister is here with us. Acacia, stand up. Let everyone see you. 200 faces turn toward me. I don't stand. I lift my hand in a small wave, a polite smile. The room applauds. Margot wipes a tear. And from 3 tables over, Colleen Brady, whom Helen invited as a guest, sets her water glass down on the table with a quiet click. She looks at Margot the way a surgeon looks at an X-ray, because Colleen was there. Colleen knows exactly how many times Margot visited. Margot finishes her speech. The applause is warm. She steps down from the stage, flushed with triumph. She has no idea what's in the envelope. 10 minutes after the speech, I catch Margot's eye across the room. I tilt my head toward the lounge, a small side room off the main ballroom with frosted glass doors. She nods, follows me in. The lounge is quiet. Leather chairs, a bar cart nobody's using, soft lighting. Through the frosted glass, the ballroom is a blur of shapes and voices. I close the door, take the envelope from my clutch, set it on the table between us. Open it, I say. Margot looks at the envelope, then at me. She picks it up, slides out the single sheet. I watch her eyes move, line by line. The brake line report, the Home Depot receipt, her credit card. The Ring camera timestamp, Brett's phone call at 11:30 p.m., her inquiries to the bank, her calls to the psychiatrist. All of it, condensed into 12 neat paragraphs. Her hands start to shake. Not a lot, just enough. "This is insane," she whispers. "You're making this up." "The police have the same document, Margot. Helen filed it last week." Her head snaps up. "Helen, of course. She's been poisoning you against me since—" "No one poisoned me. You cut my brake line, or you had Brett do it. Either way, it's done." She stands. The paper trembles in her hand. "I'm not here to destroy you," I say. "I'm giving you a chance. Walk out there, tell the truth, and resign from the trust. Or let Helen and the police handle it. Those are your options." Margot's eyes are wet, but this time the tears aren't performed. This time they're real, and they look different. Raw, panicked, ugly. "You've always been jealous of me," she says. Her voice cracks. "Jealous? Margot, you cut my brake line. There's nothing left to be jealous of." She stares at me. Then she grabs the door handle and pushes into the ballroom. Margot doesn't walk out. She erupts. She pushes through the frosted doors into the ballroom with the paper still in her hand, tears streaming, voice pitched high enough to cut through the string quartet. "My sister is attacking me. She hired a lawyer to destroy me. She's been making up lies. Lies about our family, about our grandmother's trust." 200 people stop talking. Forks pause mid-air. Wine glasses hover. I step out behind her. I don't say a word. Margot spins toward the crowd, playing to them the way she always has, the gasping, wounded performance of a woman wronged. "She's trying to steal Grandma's trust. She's the one who's unstable. Ask anyone." Silence. The terrible, witnessing kind. Helen Ashford rises from her table. She buttons her blazer, walks to the center of the room with the calm of someone who has done this in courtrooms for 30 years. "Mrs. Whitfield, I'm Helen Ashford, trustee of Francis Sinclair's trust. Everything in that document is verified, documented, and has been submitted to the Millbrook Police Department. If you'd like to continue this conversation publicly, I'm prepared to do so." Margot wheels toward the VIP table. "Brett, tell them she's lying." Brett Whitfield looks at his wife. He looks at the 200 faces watching him. Then he looks down at his plate. He doesn't stand up. He doesn't say a word. A chair scrapes. Colleen Brady stands. Her voice is clear and level. "I was the night nurse when your sister was admitted. You came once, 20 minutes. You signed the financial waiver and left. I have the hospital log." The ballroom holds its breath. 200 people, not a sound. Margot looks around the room, every face, every pair of eyes, and finds nothing. No allies, no rescue, no script. She turns and walks out the door. The door swings shut behind Margot. The string quartet has stopped playing. Somewhere in the room, a glass clinks against a table. That's the only sound. I stand in the middle of the ballroom in my navy dress with 200 people looking at me, and I don't feel what I thought I'd feel. I don't feel victorious. I don't feel vindicated. I feel like I just watched my sister walk off a cliff she'd been building for years. Gerald rises from the VIP table. His face is white. His hands hang at his sides, empty. No glass for once. He opens his mouth, but nothing comes out. Pauline is crying into a napkin, shoulders shaking, and she won't look at me. She won't look at anyone. Helen crosses the room and stands beside me. "The police will contact Margot in the morning. The civil petition has been filed. Your trust is protected." I nod. Tessa appears at my side and puts her arm through mine. She doesn't say anything. She doesn't need to. I look around the ballroom one more time. These people, politicians, business owners, charity donors, they're not my audience. They're not my jury. They're just witnesses. And witnesses are all I ever needed. Not to humiliate my sister, just to make sure the truth had a room full of people who heard it. Helen walks me to the door. "You handled that with grace," she says. "I don't feel graceful. I feel tired." That's how it's supposed to feel. The adrenaline wears off and what's left is the truth. And the truth is heavy. I step outside. The parking lot is empty. Margot's car is already gone. I thought I'd feel like I won something. I don't. I feel like I just buried a sister who was already dead to me the moment she cut that brake line. Tessa drives me home. The fallout comes in waves. Week 1. The Millbrook Police Department formally charges Margot Sinclair Whitfield with reckless endangerment in the first degree. The detective tells Helen they're building a case for attempted murder, pending the completion of the forensic analysis on the brake line tool marks. If the charge upgrades, she's looking at 5 to 15 years. Week 2. Brett Whitfield files for divorce, 3 days after the gala. He doesn't call Margot first. She finds out when the papers arrive at the Colonial on Maple Ridge. According to Tessa, who heard it from Aunt Ruth, Margot sat on the porch steps and read the filing twice. Then she went inside and closed the blinds. Brett's lawyer, Philip Voss, is named in a police inquiry as a person of interest. The Home Depot receipt, his wife's credit card, but gloves and tools for a man's hands, and the 11-minute phone call at 11:30 p.m. are enough for detectives to interview him about potential conspiracy. Week 3. The charity board sends Margot a letter. Polite, formal, devastating. They thank her for her years of service and inform her that her position as chair has been transitioned. No one calls her. Her Instagram goes quiet. Helen completes the trust petition. A judge reviews the in terrorem clause, a provision in Grandma Frances's trust that automatically disqualifies any beneficiary who attempts to harm another. The evidence is overwhelming. Margot's share of the trust is frozen pending criminal proceedings. If convicted, she loses it permanently. Helen calls me with the ruling. Her voice is measured, professional, but I can hear something underneath. Satisfaction, maybe, or just relief. Your trust is secure, she says. Your sister's portion is frozen, and her husband just got served. I thank her. Hang up. Sit in the quiet. It doesn't feel like winning. It feels like surviving. My parents come to my apartment on a Thursday afternoon. I've moved back in, changed the locks, deadbolted the door, given the spare key to Tessa instead. The apartment looks the same. I don't. Gerald knocks. When I open the door, he's sober. His eyes are red-rimmed and clear. No bourbon haze, no fuzzy edges. He's wearing a clean shirt. It's the most put together I've seen him in years. Pauline is behind him. She's holding a casserole dish, which is such a deeply Pauline Sinclair gesture that it almost makes me laugh. Tragedy happens. Bring a casserole. I let them in. We sit at the kitchen table. Nobody speaks for a long time. Pauline puts the casserole on the counter, then folds her hands in her lap, then unfolds them, then folds them again. I should have read those papers, she says. Her voice is thin. I should have come to the hospital. Gerald stares at the table. I believed her. I believed Margot because believing her was easier. I listen. I don't interrupt. I don't scream. I don't say I told you so. Because what would be the point? They know. I love you both, I say, and I mean it. But love doesn't mean I let you back in just because you're sorry. You chose Margot's version of reality for 30 years. I need time. Pauline's face crumbles. Gerald nods. Slowly, heavily, like the nod itself weighs something. How much time? My mother asks. I don't know. That's the honest answer. Gerald stands. He puts his hand on the back of the chair, steadying himself, not from drink, but from something harder. Your grandmother would be proud of you, he says. I wish I could say the same for myself. They leave. The casserole stays. I eat it that night, alone, and it tastes exactly like my mother's kitchen. A week later, a letter arrives at my apartment. Hand-delivered by Margot's attorney. Not Margot herself. Handwritten on plain white paper. I open it at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee I don't drink. The letter doesn't say I'm sorry. Margot has never been good at those words. Instead, it says this. I didn't plan it for months. I planned it in one night. Brett told me he was leaving and I panicked. That doesn't make it right. But you should know I wasn't always this person. 9 sentences total. No excuses. No justifications. No plea for forgiveness. Just a flat, exhausted statement of fact from a woman who finally ran out of performances. I read it twice. Then I set it on the table and look out the window. I think about Margot at 15. The night Dad threw a bottle at the wall and the glass went everywhere, and Margot grabbed me. I was 10, barefoot, crying, and carried me to her room and put headphones on me. She held me until I stopped shaking. She was a child herself. She was protecting me with everything she had. I think about Margot at 34. standing in a dark driveway at 11:47 p.m. with a $35 tool, cutting the brake line on her little sister's car because her husband told her to fix the money problem. Both are real. Both are Margot. I fold the letter, put it in the nightstand drawer. Not the trash, not the binder, not somewhere I'll see it every day. Just away. A thing that exists. A truth I can hold without opening the door. She wasn't always this person, but she became this person. And I can grieve the sister she was without forgiving the woman she chose to be. I close the drawer, finish my coffee. It's cold by now, but I drink it anyway. Friday night, Tessa comes over with grocery bags and a playlist she made on her phone. "We're making pasta," she announces, kicking off her shoes at the door. "Grandma Frances's recipe, the one with the brown butter and sage." We cook in my small kitchen with the windows open and the spring air coming in. Tessa chops garlic with the confidence of someone who watched too many cooking shows. I stir the butter, watching it turn from gold to amber, and the smell fills the apartment, warm and nutty and familiar. "Grandma always said you were the strong one," Tessa says, not looking up from the cutting board. "I'm not strong. I just got tired of being the only one carrying the weight." "That's the same thing, Acacia." We eat at the kitchen table, the same table where I read Margot's letter, where I showed my parents the evidence, where I sat alone for too many meals. But tonight it feels different. Tonight the table has 2 plates, 2 glasses of wine, and a bread basket Tessa insisted on because carbs are healing. Danny stops by to return a book he borrowed months ago. He stays for pasta. He eats 2 plates and tells a story about a customer who brought in a lawnmower for an oil change. We laugh, a real laugh, the kind that uses your whole chest, and my ribs only protest a little. Colleen calls to check in. "June says hello. Biscuit misses you." I look around my kitchen. These people, a cousin, an old friend, a nurse, a 72-year-old woman and her cat, they're not the family I was born into. They're the family I found. Or maybe the family that found me. Family isn't the people who share your blood. It's the people who show up at the hospital. 6 months later. I go back to the clinic in September. My first shift back, the receptionist, a woman named Linda who has worked the front desk for 20 years, hands me a coffee and says, "Welcome back. The flu's early this year." No fanfare, no drama, just work. I love it. The trust's second distribution comes through on my 30th birthday, a Tuesday in October, unremarkable on the calendar, but seismic underneath. Helen calls to confirm the wire transfer. $1.15 million deposited into my account. I use a portion to establish the Francis Sinclair Memorial Scholarship for nursing students at the community college. Grandma would have liked that. She always said nurses were the only people in hospitals who actually listened. Gerald joined AA 6 weeks after the gala. He goes to meetings on Tuesday and Thursday nights. He doesn't drink anymore. He also doesn't talk much. But when he does, his words are clear and careful, like a man relearning a language he forgot. Pauline calls me every Sunday at noon. The conversations are short, 5 minutes, maybe 7. She talks about her garden. I talk about the clinic. Neither of us mentions Margot. The calls are awkward and stilted and completely genuine, and I take every one. I haven't invited them to the apartment yet. Maybe someday. Not yet. Margot is awaiting trial. The charge was upgraded to attempted murder after the forensic report matched the tool marks to the cutters on that Home Depot receipt. She's out on bail, living in a rental apartment on the other side of the county. Brett is gone, left the state, last anyone heard. Nobody in the family mentions Margot at Sunday dinner anymore. Her chair at the table is just empty. Nobody moves it. Nobody fills it. Some absences are louder than any speech. On a Saturday morning in November, I drive to Green Ridge Cemetery with a bouquet of white daisies, Grandma Frances's favorite. The headstone is simple: Frances Ellen Sinclair, beloved mother and grandmother. I set the flowers in the little vase, brush some leaves off the base, and stand there for a while with my hands in my coat pockets. "I kept my promise, Grandma," I say out loud. "I didn't let anyone, not even someone who shares my blood, make me feel like I deserve less than what's mine." The wind moves through the oak trees. A few leaves drift down, gold and amber, landing on the grass around my feet. I think about all of it. Waking up in that hospital room, the empty chair, Colleen's voice telling me the truth, Danny's photographs, Helen's binder, the white envelope at the gala, Margot's face when she realized I knew. And I think about Margot at 15, putting headphones on a crying 10-year-old. I'll always carry that version of her. It just doesn't get to override the version that tried to kill me. I touch the headstone once. Then I turn around and walk to my car. So that's my story. I woke up alone in a hospital bed and found out the person I trusted most tried to take everything from me, including my life. But here I am, breathing, standing, turning 30 with a scholarship fund in my grandmother's name and a kitchen table that finally has the right people around it. If someone in your life is hiding behind the word family to hurt you, you don't owe them your silence. You owe yourself the truth. If this story meant something to you, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment. Tell me, did you ever have to set a boundary with someone in your family? Or did you choose peace instead? There's no wrong answer. Hit subscribe and check the description for more stories like this one. I'll see you in the next video. And remember, you're allowed to protect yourself, even from the people who were supposed to protect you.